5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Edge Radio.
Good evening, folks. This is Wayne Brown on the Talkie Show, and I've got my very special guest tonight, Mrs. Leanne Jones. What am I saying? Of course, you're married. How are you, Leanne?
I'm very well, Wayne, and the Talkie Show. Sorry, I'm having a little play with Wayne about these Talkie Show. I thought it was quite funny. It actually feels weird being here again. Everything's changed.
I know. Improvement. Of course.
Since we were last here.
Yes.
Everything's changed. The studio's changed. The positions have changed. The control panels changed.
I'm surprised you haven't freaked out and gone, oh, my God, they moved it all around.
I know.
Yes. Anyway, so tonight, Leanne and I, we're going to chat. We're going to start talking about self-development, our own journey, and whoever's watching and listening or watching the recording. And then we're going to see wherever it goes, because we do tend to go off on tangents. We try to make it worthwhile, though, so hang in there.
Well, okay. Not too serious.
No, we like to have a laugh.
Yeah.
So I know for myself, in regards to self-development, my journey's been very rocky because I've been through quite a few things. And I believe you had a slightly smoother journey because you didn't go through divorces and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't have to do that side of self-development, but a lot of other personal self-development, I think, not relationship.
Okay, so I suppose we should probably have some questions to get started. Where did your self-development journey start? Like, what was the catalyst? What was the moment where you just went, I've got to get the hang of this?
I think for me, it's an evolution that if I don't follow a grain that's put in front of me, I feel like I've missed out. And that came about because I think motherhood did that for me.
Oh, okay.
Because I think you have your first child and you think you know it all.
You have your second child and realise you know nothing.
And you have your second one and you realise you know nothing. But also you used to get all this information and given to you, thrown at you when you're a mother, right? Your newborn mother, you got a newborn baby and it's crying and it won't shut up and, all that sort of stuff, all the horrible stuff. And people are throwing things at you, do this, do that, do this, do that, and you're trying to do everything. And I think that then has to come down to the fact that you have to discern where to go to from next. And then what happens is you get a feel for how you're going and you feel like you're on the right path and you just keep pushing all the other stuff that they keep telling you aside so that you're following those little breadcrumbs to the destination that you want to get to, which is a healthy child, and, one that you haven't killed in the process because you haven't got any sleep. But I think that was the start of it, and I think it opened up a journey of discovering who I was, because I wasn't a mother before that, right? So it was landed with me in such a profound way that I'm responsible for something else outside of me. And that was a learning. That was a big learning in that sense. So, and then life just goes and you just become this 3D, you're doing the day in, day out stuff and nothing's landing anymore because you're just in that rhythm of life.
Right.
And then I think the next big step for me was taking a leap of faith back into working full-time once the kids were grown.
Okay, so from when they were born to when they grew up, how long are we talking here?
I didn't go back to full I worked part-time up until they were probably early tweens, sort of 10, 11, 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So at least a decade.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's a substantial
So you're
amount
a
of time.
decade of just being a mum, just doing mum things, everything revolves around them.
Just to go back a little bit, you mentioned that when your first was born, you were getting all the advice, as parents do, you get inundated with, and it's all well-intentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a particular book or a course or a person who gave or you received information from where you went, you know what, that's really valuable. That's good.
I think it was my mum.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think my mum, more than anyone, was the person I really relied on for that path. And even now, the oldest one is the favourite, just saying. But I think because I didn't know what to do. I was 26 years old. I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
We were the first out of our friends to have children. So everyone else was still partying and, carrying on. And we were, with a mortgage and child.
Nappies.
Yeah, knee deep in nappies. And we weren't even married yet. So we got married. I know, God forbid. We got married 11 months after he was born, and then 20 months after he was born, we had our second.
Right.
So it was a whole, juggle. But I think it was my mum, and I remember specifically, and I think this is going back when they were around about 3 or 4 in age, that sort of age group, and I didn't know what to do with them. They were just horrible, and I was at Mum's place and I smacked one of them across the legs because he was just being really nasty. And Mum goes, "You hit more into them than you hit out of them." And I went, "Oh."
Isn't it funny how sometimes the tiniest of phrases can impact you? Like I had the same thing with my dad. Like my mum passed years ago when my boys were little.
Yeah.
And then my first wife left.
Yeah.
And I had them for the weekend and I was visiting my dad and one of them had done something wrong. I think it was the youngest one. And so I gave him a bit of a smack on the ass.
Yeah, it wasn't big.
And my dad just turned around and goes, "Why are you taking it out on him?"
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, man, that landed hard. It's best advice sometimes is the shortest.
It's small. It's not, this is what you do. It's bang, bang, those quick ones, yeah. So I reckon that's probably one of the best things that I ever got told. And from then on, every time they upset me and weren't doing, because they were 3, 4, 5 year group, I would say shut them both into a room.
Oh,
and I would shut the door and I'd say, "Work it out." How did you feel being the only ones in your friendship group with kids? I think you just, I don't know, we just did it. We just did it. We just struggled along. We weren't, Richard was working. I was a stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
We struggled along. We paid the mortgage. I took the kids out a lot, just up to the local shopping centre in a double pram and just walked them up there and spent the day in the shopping centre, especially when it was hot.
Hoping to exhaust them.
Well, yeah, so that they come home and they'd have a sleep,
Yeah.
It was different being the only ones. And I don't think I ever felt like I missed out, but it's so nice. It was so nice when they were older and they were all stuck with their young kids. I have to say that.
Revenge.
And I have to say I probably was one of those people going, "Well, have you tried this? And have you tried that?"
We can't help ourselves.
You can't help yourself, no.
Okay. So obviously parenting was a big self-development part.
Yeah.
What was your next big step? I mean, I'm trying to give people – actually, before we do, when I was trying to make sense of my parenting, I did get a bit of advice. But one that really helped me, if anyone wants to look this guy up, he was a therapist by the name of Steve Biddulph. And he's written Raising Boys, Raising Girls, and it's really good, simple, easy to understand information that just makes sense. He's brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
See, all of that, I never did any of that. All that self-development where you find the right mentors and books and stuff like that, that came later. But it was that, and
you learned in the coalface.
Yeah, but in reflection on where that came from, that grounding, that was parenthood. Because you had to learn it, you had to self-develop to be able to parent children. You can't just do it; you have to actually learn it. And whether that's advice from other people, and what you do is you take on board what works and throw the rest out, because every child's different.
Absolutely.
And you learn a little bit of resilience being a parent too, because you become a little bit more, adept at holding your own space. Because before that, you're not that person that holds your own space, because I don't know why, but I think because you're looking after other people, you're the one that's stepping forward for them. They haven't got a voice yet or anything like that. So you're the one that's at the front. So you become a little bit more stepping up a little bit more.
So by default, your level of confidence and able to assert yourself and all of
Correct.
that stuff increased.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's something for parents to look forward to. There are some good things that happen in parenting.
There are. And then, of course, comes with, okay, so the next sort of level is the kids start school. You then go and help at the school. You know, I was a very hands-on parent. I worked part-time, as I said before that. When the kids started school, I worked part-time and I worked in a field. I was a service provider 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, for a group home with people with mental health issues.
Okay.
And so that was a learning curve for me because I'd never worked with people with mental health issues. I was always in admin. Right. So, but this worked in with.
So did you have to study or anything to move into that, or was it?
No, as a service worker, I didn't because I was basically their house mum.
Oh, okay.
All right. So yeah, I did study. I studied with the kids, but anyway.
Right.
But I was a house mum because before that I was in admin. My whole younger life was in admin, and then I began studying while I was in that role. But what I found in that role was also a sense of stepping up and stepping forward, because I don't think that self-development is all about reading a book and going in and going, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. I think it is an evolving process that happens throughout your life. You have moments of and places of development that you do that comes in ebbs and flows. So that was a good one for me. And then I started studying, and that's when I studied community services mental health.
Right.
And then the boys were a little bit older, and that's when I went into welfare work. So in mental health.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said, there's only so much you can learn from books, because I went through a stage where I was reading about 2 books a week. So I was reading heaps, and I was learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. And eventually I went, you know what? I've got to implement some of this. So that's when I actually started putting the old nose to the grindstone.
Yeah, I think you have to do. You have to do. But the thing that I found most interesting is when you are on that pathway of developing yourself, which is self-development, there are people that really don't want to see you succeed.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think, and that was a big eye opener and a big learning curve for me, is when people start, it's not that they deliberately say, I don't want you to succeed, blah, 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 but they start falling away. People start falling away. You don't see them, they don't think that you've got the capabilities, or I don't know what it is. Or maybe that's just our own thought process that we think we don't have the capabilities, but we almost outgrow the people that we were with.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because as I said off air before we came on, my social circle has changed so many times because of what I've been through. So so I'm slowly getting more adept at making friends. Yeah. But that actually gives us a nice little segue, what we're just talking about. I want to go back to what we talked about, your little notes.
Oh, yeah. So,
Leanne, there's acronyms for the word fear.
Yeah.
Like false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
F all, and was it F everything and run.
Oh, I've never heard that one.
Haven't you? Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, so there's a number, but Leanne's come up with her own, and I think it's brilliant, and I think we should explore that because for a lot of people when they're doing self-development, it does bring up a lot of fears.
It does.
Because you're scared about what's on the other side. You don't know whether you're going to succeed. You don't know whether you're going to fail. You don't know if people are going to fall away or if you're going to be ostracized, or a lot of what's on the other side of self-development is very unknown.
It is.
So I'd like to explore.
And that's why people like to stay in mediocrity, because they don't want that feeling of,
Yes, but I think yours is a great acronym.
Fear. Yeah. So my acronym for fear is feel, explore, action, and release.
Could be a book in this.
Well, who knows? I came up with that one more, like literally last week. in the
Nice.
morning.
I like it.
And I was, and it came to, and I said to one of my clients who came in to my clinic, and I'm not going to mention any names, but she came in
Your
and
clinic?
she.
No, mention your clinic.
I'll mention the clinic. I just won't mention my clients' names. She came in and said, "I don't know why I need to tell you this, but I need to tell you this." Blah 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 blah. And I said, "Well, okay." We had to talk about whatever it was that she was going through, and I said, "Well, I think this is something to do with it." And I said, because it came to me as well this morning, and I think this is something to do with it, and it's fear. And I said, it's feel, explore, action. I said, I can't remember the last one, but it'll come to me. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. So I had to text it to her. It was release. So I think there's a lot of people that can't do that last part. And
The
that's
release.
The release.
Mm.
I think people are feeling it and they have the curiosity to explore what it is, whether that crumb will lead somewhere. And, they may take some action, but maybe not all of it, but they definitely don't have that release of, allowing it to come in and feeling it and then being able to not, how to articulate this, how to not take it personally, but it's not take it personally. It's
Okay,
something
so
else.
taking into account what you do as a job.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to mention what you do? Just so
I'm a Bowen therapist. So I work with Bowen therapy. I also work with in cellular health. And because of my background in mental health, I have a real passion for, I suppose it's the mind-body connection, particularly around, all emotions and trauma, and whether it's mental, physical, or emotional is stored in the body. So I think that's something I love to look at and love to delve into, a little bit of the metaphysical side of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I brought that up is because I think that you've got a bit of an insight in regards to the release. Now, you know that emotions are stored in the body. You would also be aware that, for example, if you're trying to lose weight or you get put in a particular physical situation that brings up that particular memory that's stored in your body, the trauma's re-brought up or whatever the challenge was, it makes it that little bit harder. What sort of things do you think would be contributing to people's unwillingness to release or to face whatever it is so that they can release?
I think I think it is about the way that they are perceived by others. Personally, that a lot of it is they don't want to see that release and that change happen, the change that happens on the other side of that, because they're scared, the fear coming back in of what other people think, too concerned about what other people do, and that they've been suppressed enough not to trust themselves anymore. So, and also not having an awareness around it, because these days we've got everything's coming at us, everything, but not. I had an hour this morning where a client cancelled and I had an hour to sit still and do nothing.
Nice.
People don't get bored anymore. And I found myself the processes of what was going on in my brain, in my head, I actually had processes happening. Like that doesn't always happen, right? So yeah, I think they don't like to look at themselves because they're scared of what others may see.
Mm. And what you talked about earlier, we did about the identity. This is something that I had to deal with in regard to my journey, was so many bits of my identity that had been put on me by others that I had adopted as real. The way that I thought I was perceived by other people, because many times I've said to people, oh, such and such, and they're like, no, I don't see you like that at all. It's like, really?
Yeah.
So things like that have always been a shock to me. So now I'm definitely in a place where I'm consciously constructing my identity. What is it about me that's real? What's authentic? What for me is congruent with where I'm going,
Yeah.
and what is the crap I've got to jettison.
Yeah.
So the release part for me fascinates me, but I love the rest of that.
Well, see, also release is a nervous system requirement. You need to be able to release that nervous system that is in fear. So, even the feeling about it creates something in your nervous system, right? So I think it being able to regulate your nervous system is a really good release as well. So if you can get through what you feel through a fearful event, or through making a change, which is about self-development, right? You make a change. You're developing yourself and changing your direction, or you're changing the way you do things, or you're looking at yourself, like you said, and having a real construction around that. But I don't even know where I was going with that.
It's all right. We go off on tangents.
We do.
Remember?
Anyway, yeah, we do. So I think I think the nervous system needs to be released, and this is where body work can come really well into it. So if you're having, and I think this is a little bit like somatic, and it must be like what somatic therapy is about, where I'm not a qualified counsellor, but people, like a hairdresser, they tell you their problems, if you're a Bowen therapist. But if they tell you their problems and you make them aware of where it's stored in their body, and you go and work on that part, all of a sudden you've got something that's actually released. So if they've got something, say sciatic or something like that, and we have a talk about what's going on in their life, when did it start, how did it happen, they come to their own conclusions.
It's amazing how often we've got the answers.
You have the answers everywhere.
Yeah. And it's funny what you're saying about the body releasing. Many years ago, I went and learnt massage.
Yeah.
And the style of massage that I was using, you worked on the intercostal muscles in between the ribs.
Yeah.
And it was wild because you would be working on each other, practicing. And some people, as you were massaging the intercostals, they would either go into this maniacal laughter, or they would just suddenly burst out crying.
Tears, yeah.
And you just had to sit with it and honour it, and it was just amazing what's stored in bodies.
You don't, and that's another thing. People don't even realise that. So that self-development led me to Bowen therapy. This is why I'm in it.
Is that because you wanted to get the therapy, or it was something you felt called to do?
No, it was so totally random.
I was going to say, a lot of things do seem pretty random.
But if you follow the crumbs, right, and you do the work, you get that, you get where it wants to be. I was taking Mum for acupuncture at Perth Bowen Clinic, and I didn't even know what Bowen was. And I was taking Mum for acupuncture because she had a lot of myriad of health issues that medicine just doesn't fix. And I was looking at the sign on the thing, and it's like strange and anything else. So next time I went in, and then I saw, blah blah blah, animal Bowen. I went, oh, dog Bowen.
Animal Bowen.
Yeah. They do Bowen on dogs. I went, oh, that's different. Anyway, next time I went in, there was the lady who owned the business, and I said, oh, and it said training as well, and I was like, wow, who does this? Like, what sort of people do this? Who is that? And then I brought my dog in.
So is this a big dog or a small dog?
No, a big dog. This is not huge. She was a blue heeler.
Oh, it's a reasonable dog.
sized dog, a proper dog.
Yeah. That's what I always say too, real dog.
A proper dog.
Apologies to all the people that own small dogs.
And and then and she had Bowen, and 3 sessions in, and I saw a change in the way she walked and the way she had a pep in her step.
So were you watching the actual treatment? Or
yeah.
Okay.
But it was just this little thing like that, and I was like, what's that going to do? Right? And then she goes, oh, no, you got to leave the dog for a bit. And then she would shake, and I went, oh. She goes, oh, yeah, she's just having a little reset. And I went, it's weird.
Reset?
And then they do a couple more little moves and stuff like that. She goes, yeah, that's it. Come back next week. Okay. All right. We'll see where this goes, right? I have to come back next week for Mum anyway, so let's see what happens. And 3 sessions in, and she was an older dog. She was 9 at the time, and she saw real improvement. And I went, okay. And then Mum said to me, oh, and she's asking what it's about, and I told her and stuff like that. She goes, oh, you need to do something like that. And I said, what?
So when she said you need to do something, you mean go and get that treatment?
No,
or
you
go
need
and
to
learn
do,
it?
you need to go and do
Or
that.
she must have picked up on something.
I don't know. She must have. Anyway, and then when I was speaking to the lady who was doing training assessing, I said, "So you do training in this?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, tell me a little bit more about it." And she goes, "Blah blah 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 blah." It works at the cellular level. And I went, "Okay, that's 3. That's it. I need to go and study it." So I never had a Bowen treatment before I went and studied Bowen
Right.
therapy. My doc did.
There you go.
Yeah. And at the time I was studying, I was actually working night shift on the rail as a rail protection officer.
All
That was
right.
another big shift I made after working in mental health for 10 years. I went and worked on the rail as a rail protection officer.
Right.
And
So obviously that's not standing guard over the rails and making sure no one hurts them.
No, that's standing guard over a group of people taking possession of track in a certain area of track, making sure they don't kill themselves or get run over by a train.
Well, that's pretty important. I mean, it tends to be pretty final when that happens. Wow.
So, yeah, so they
Okay.
might be working on track, they might be working on points, they might be working on the overhead lines, they might be picking up rubbish, or they might be, something untoward that happened, or, have to block track or something like that. So at that stage, I was working night shift on the rail, and I was studying Bowen during the day, doing my studies online, and then so many weeks
somewhere in between,
and taking mum to appointments somewhere in between that as well. Yeah.
Isn't it funny? You look back and you go, how did I squeeze all of that in?
I really have no idea.
Yeah. What's the old saying that people underestimate how much they can get done in a day, but overestimate how much they can, overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's so true. And the other thing is that you just don't. People think that time is, like, I haven't got enough time, like you said.
Yeah.
But when you consider what you actually have got time to do, and if you stop,
Oh, it's a horrible thing.
you have so much time. For
Yeah,
me to have that hour this morning, it was a thing that I really needed to do for myself, and go, right, just sit there, have an hour. And it was amazing what came through. And I remember being a child and being bored and going to Mum, I'm bored. But then creating and the most amazing.
Absolutely.
Whether it was craft, getting the crafts out, or whether it was, creating a story or going into the garden, and we just don't have that.
No, and that's something I see these days. Kids always walking around with headphones on. So they're constantly being bombarded with noise and images, and just the brain just never gets a rest.
And that's what I found as well with self-development, because like you said, you read this book and you read that book and you read that book and you did that and you did that and you did that. And I find that on social media, you've got your Tony Robbins and your Mel Robbins, and you got your, whatever.
Oh, there's no shortage of them.
Rob Cardone or whatever his name is, and all these other things. And they just keep coming at you on social media. And you're like, oh, which one? Oh, I need to learn this and I need to do this and I need to do that. But I think if you follow what leads you to something, that's where you need to be. Right. And then seek the development to understand it. So if something keeps popping up, like Bowen kept popping up for me, go into that and then learn it and understand it and do it. Because otherwise you you're pulling at straws. If there's something that's really interesting to you, go and learn it, but listen to it and do it and instigate it and be it. And you know what I mean? Like, don't just read it and think you know it all, which is what I see with a lot of people on social media. Yeah,
but that was my big one. I had to do something. But you just talking then about the breadcrumbs reminded me of a story.
Hansel and Gretel.
That's it. Brilliant.
I've got it already.
Didn't see the ending. It was a twist. No, it was many years ago when I was with my second wife. We were driving down south. So for those of you that might not be in Australia, this is south of Perth, so right down on the little bit that bumps out. And we'd stopped at this B&B to stay the night.
Yeah.
And in the morning, I'm standing in the guy's library, and I can't walk past someone's library without checking out what books they've got. Can't help myself.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in there checking out all these books. Anyway, he comes in, he's getting breakfast ready. and we're having a chat. And after about 15 minutes, he suddenly goes, read this amazing book series. I think you'd really enjoy it. It's called Conversations with God. And I'm like, oh, no, he's one of them. Oh, Lord. Oh, God. So I was like all polite and went, oh, okay, yep, no worries, no worries. And then we're driving back and we stopped in at, I think it was Bridgetown. And my ex went in to look at a dress. So I went in. While she's looking, I'm talking to the lady that's behind the counter. And she goes, oh, I'm reading this amazing series at the moment called Conversations with God. And I just looked up and went, all right. And it was true. It was
an
an
amazing series,
brilliant
wasn't it?
book. And I'm reading it again now, and I like to reread it regularly.
I haven't read that one.
Yeah, it is.
I have a lot in my library that I haven't read.
Oh, me too.
A lot.
I know.
All these books I get given to me as well.
I had to get rid of about 200 books a few years ago, and it was just like,
terrible.
it was hard.
I can't look at, like, it's too much, too much information. But
yeah, but I find sometimes it's like, oh, I need to learn something. What do I? And I'll just scan the books and I'll go, that one feels right, and I'll pull that one out.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good, because if you've got, and I think that's it. That's it. Taking that time again back, right? Taking that time back to do that, because it's bombarded with television and phones and noise and everything else. Netflix. What's on Netflix? Or Stan or whatever you want to look at. So, yeah.
So going back to your little acronym with the explore,
yeah,
would part of that be taking the time to sit quietly and see what questions come up from inside, what answers come up from inside?
Yeah.
Because as we said, a lot of the times, it's amazing how often we know the answer. We just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, 100%. Because if you don't, who's going to tell you?
Well, the thing is, would you listen?
You wouldn't.
No, most people go, what would you know?
Yeah, you wouldn't listen. Wouldn't listen. No, so you have to be that person that it's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together as well, isn't it? You've got to find those pieces and go back into your own life and find your own pieces, because no one's going to find them for you. No one's going to go and explore that's really personal to you. It's not anyone else's.
Yeah, but even if someone went and explored it for you, like if you said to me, oh, Wayne, I want to improve this part of my life, can you go and find out all the info? I would find it out through my own filters, my own curiosity, my own desires to learn.
You know what they would do now? They get AI to do that.
Yeah, but see,
and
I've learned a couple of things about AI recently. I think it's ChatGPT. If it doesn't know the answer, it makes up an answer. And it's just like, how nuts is that?
Yes.
And there was one I read. This lady, had to go to court.
Yeah.
And so she did a thing on ChatGPT, here's all my case, blah, blah, blah. And it said, oh, yeah, and in this case of so-and-so versus so-and-so, this was the outcome, blah, blah, blah. She sacked her lawyer, got into court, and ChatGPT had made up all of these cases. They weren't real cases.
Oh, my Lord.
No, you really do need to use a bit of common sense.
God.
I mean, it's handy, but
there
use
is no such
your
thing
brains
as
a
common
bit.
sense anymore.
Oh, I know.
That's what they say.
What's the old saying? Common sense isn't very common.
That's right. That's what we got told when we started working on the rail. Don't think that people have common sense. Well,
the moment you've got to put a tag on a pram that says remove the baby before folding pram, that tells you just about everything you need to know.
Is that what they've got on them now?
And I've seen another one for a chainsaw. Do not use hands or genitals to stop chainsaw. It's just like, what the? And I've seen videos where people hold the blade between their legs to start it, and they're like, it's just like something wrong with you people.
I think we've just gone, anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's another show.
That's another show.
So the explore part.
Explore.
So, obviously
for me, the explore part was following those breadcrumbs and exploring what that looked like, right? So even when I left mental health, that did my own mental health in when you're working with people, some people with mental health issues. And I said, that's it, I'm done. And I got offered the opportunity to work on the rail and become a rail protection officer. I didn't know what that was. I went, oh, yeah, I'll give it a go. Whatever. Had to do all this study on, rail law and points. And, I still remember, what was it? Little David's rigid cheese knob.
Oh, it's an acronym to remember.
Points and, there was a Little David. There was a a cheese knob. and it was
Sounds like a euphemism. That one,
I
doesn't
tell
it?
you, it's shocking what you remember. But you had to go and learn all this whole something completely new, completely different, total opposite end, but still in mental health, because when you're working on platforms, there's mental health everywhere. You're working on rail, there's mental health everywhere. There was a saying on the rail: shit flows to the end of the line, right? And everywhere that you're the last few stations, you could see and feel the energy change and the people that were around there and everything else. So yeah, that was fun. But that's what I mean. Like I followed that breadcrumb and went, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. Let's try it and see what it works. Well, I worked there for 9 years. It was a great career for that period of time. But night shift was killing me,
Well, having done it, I know what you mean.
And then when Mum said, I think that's something you need to do, and then they told me it worked at the cellular, I went, okay, let's give it a go.
Let's follow the breadcrumbs.
Let's get me out of here and let's have a look at what this looks like. So then, finishing my Cert 4, quitting my job, starting my business, doing my diploma, getting my SP2, it just followed on. It was a progression following on from that. And it was, again, following those breadcrumbs. I didn't have to go and do diploma, but it gave me a bigger and broader skill set, gave me the ability to treat people that, that came in with really complex needs. So it was nice to be able to do that. Gave me a better understanding of the human body anatomy, something I never wanted to do when I was in school. Human bio was there.
I didn't do it either, but I've had a fascination with the human body for years.
Only in the last 8 years for me.
Oh, really?
Prior to that, you could have, no.
Wow.
So it's funny how your whole systems, your whole mental capacity changes through things.
And I think that might be going back to what we were talking about with the identity thing, where, a lot of people go, they're taught by their parents, I'll go and do this as a job or that as a job. And I know I did. And when you start to drop that away as an identity, you allow other things to come in, and the things that probably you were curious about but you weren't aware of, you now actually have come back into your periphery, and you go, So I think that might have been it. You sort of had that interest, but it wasn't in front of you.
I think people like to stay in mediocrity. They don't like to look outside of that mediocrity because it's comfortable.
Oh, God, yeah.
Right? So if other things are being brought into their peripheral, they're like, nah. But if they had the opportunity to be bored and explore it a little bit, they may actually change their mind. May be able to change what they're feeling. But a lot of people, and I wrote this down too, a lot of people, growth is lonely.
Absolutely.
Because it requires you leaving your old self behind.
Yes.
And your old self is the one that had formed those relationships, had formed that connection with people, had formed this and had formed that. And it's not that they are left behind, but there's a possibility of it, right? And a lot of them are. Or they come back to you in a different form, So, yeah.
Yeah, but it also takes a lot of time to sit on your own and do the old introspection thing. And, I mean, I know I spent lots of time doing that.
Yeah.
Very beneficial, but I'm not spending time with anyone.
There's a saying around that. When you're too busy, you need to spend another hour on your knees or something. What was that one? What's that saying?
Oh, the old gratitude thing.
Yeah, no. But it's not gratitude. It's you need to spend more time being aware, going back into being at retrospective, being that person looking at yourself. Because the busier you are, the less you're looking at yourself, the less you're having a look at what's going on.
And that probably applies to a lot of things, because I read a book recently, Outlived, by Dr. Peter Attia, and he's done a lot of studies and things on not just longevity, but maintaining the quality of your health as you get older. And he said that one thing he's realised is he used to be one of these people who's like, minimum amount of sleep, get out and do stuff and go.
Yeah.
And then he realised once he could get a good night's sleep, his clarity improved so much. He could think faster, he could react quicker, he could organise quicker, he could remember things better, and he became more effective by having more sleep.
Yeah.
So I suppose it'd be the same thing. If you spend more time introspective,
Yeah.
asking yourself the right
Yes.
questions,
Yes.
then you're going to more
Be more
likely to get those answers.
Yeah, and you're going to be more productive.
Mm.
You're going to be using that time in a better way, right? Instead of using that time in scrolling and watching Facebook and doing all that other stuff that we do. So I think so I think there's a growth in that. You know, there's a growth, and it goes like this all the time. I mean, we're not perfect. For God's sake. I mean, you know, we try.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Getting really close. You gotta pull yourself down a couple of pegs every now and again. But it's that
That's what I got my wife for.
I got that. Yeah, I got the husband for that. Yeah. So what's the other thing I wrote down? Where is it? Oh yeah, because people say you've changed all the time, and that's what people are afraid of.
But see, this is the thing that bugs me. There's certain sayings that really bug me, and that's one when people say you've changed. I should hope so.
Yes,
because if I'm the same person I was 10 years ago, beat me to death.
I wouldn't be here now.
Exactly. It's like you should hope that you'd be different tomorrow than you are today.
Yeah, and what I get a lot is people that are so familiar with the comfortable, they don't want to get out of that. They don't want to get out of that because fear.
Yeah, and and the worst thing is when you're trying to help them and they're like kicking and screaming to stay where they are. They're like, I don't want to change. I don't want to put the effort in. It's too hard. And it's like, well, no. I think it was Jim Rowan. I went and watched him do a talk years ago.
You?
Yeah, he came to Perth.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was good. And he said, all right, if we all hopped on the floor now and did push-ups, and you could only do 10 push-ups, and looking at you, we'd all go, yeah, I think 10's about all I could do. He said, if you did 10 tomorrow and then 10 the day after, then suddenly you do 12. And then you do 12, and then you do 12, and then suddenly you do 15, and then you do 15 and 15, and suddenly you do 20. How'd you get to 20? And it's that small change repeated every single day. And everyone thinks it's this big, massive thing.
No,
like our journeys, like for you to become a mother and for me to sort my head out and all of that, it wasn't a, switches turned on and it was all done. It was that constant working on myself and like that little inner voice.
Yeah.
I don't know what your little inner voice was years ago, but berating myself
all the time.
I was so good at that. But I think it was, I don't even know where I came across
We're
this
our
saying.
own worst critic.
Oh, but I came across this saying, which it snapped me out of it. It said, if you're always beating yourself up, the moment you come up against a real opponent, you're already outnumbered.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Whoa.
Yes.
So a little thing, this is a good tip for everyone, because we all make mistakes, and when we make a mistake, we tend to call ourselves not very nice names.
Oh, correct.
So what I do now is I call myself a peanut or a wally. So they're words that I can acknowledge. Yeah, exactly. So they're words that acknowledge that I've made a mistake, but I'm not beating myself up.
Because what you say and speak to yourself as well.
Absolutely.
That has
it goes in.
It goes in and it's not who you are. So because we can always I have a client, I'm really bad. And I said, you're not bad. If you're going to keep calling yourself bad, then that's what
self-fulfilling
it will
prophecy.
be. Yes. Yeah. And you got to change that word. I'm going to use peanut. Peanut. I like
it's
peanut.
a good one, isn't it?
Peanut's a good one. Yeah. Peanut.
And see, people know, I've stuffed up, but they don't take it personally because it's got no meaning behind it.
No, that's right. Yeah. No, I like that one, Peanut.
Yeah.
Wally, I use Wally all the time.
Yeah.
I want a new one, Peanut.
Yeah.
Peanut's my one.
You're welcome.
I'll find another one, maybe walnut or something.
Yes.
It looks too much like a brain.
But it's funny, though, the power of words, what you say to yourself and where you're going to go. And like a lot of people will go, it's just the way I am. No, it's not just the way you are. You can change that any moment
the way
you
you've
want
been programmed.
To. Yeah, it's like, what was the one I heard years ago? It was like, I love having a drink of wine, Then you go out one night and you get so drunk and you throw up on yourself and you get done for drink driving. And then suddenly, oh, no, I don't want to drink anymore.
Yeah.
Suddenly how that changes nice and quick. So you can change anything
you can
very quickly.
You can. And as long as you're aware, because that's a big one. I know I keep
Oh, it's
coming
the
back
hardest
to it.
part of the journey.
Yeah, I know I keep coming back to it, but awareness is one of the biggest things that
Absolutely,
you can actually be.
100%.
Yeah, and as long as you're aware of it, and you're the one implementing the change, and it's not coming from an outside source, like you said, right? You're the one implementing the change. It's possible to do anything.
Very
It's possible
quickly.
to change everything.
Very quickly.
Yeah. My son, my oldest son, in year 7, he stood up in front, because back then, it was year 7 that primary school finished, not year 6.
Oh, yeah.
Because it changed. So year 7, at the end of the year, he stood up in front of his class and he said, when I grow up, I want to be an engineer for Rio Tinto. Guess what he did?
Good on him.
His first
nice.
job was engineer for Rio Tinto.
Good on him.
There were skateboarders and, Olympians and firefighters and all that sort of stuff. But that's what he said. And I thought, how the hell did you even know you wanted to be an engineer, and specifically for Rio Tinto? I don't know where he came up with it, where did we get a lot of these
ideas?
But he saw it through.
Good
and did it. And I thought, well, that's resilience. That takes determination and gut. So yeah, he's not with Rio Tinto anymore. He's
Doesn't matter.
With FMG.
He's ticked that one off. It's all good.
Yeah, he's much in a much better place now. Even so, it's possible. It's possible at that age.
Yeah.
And it's possible at this age. So
every age. You're never too old.
It doesn't matter.
Never too old.
Doesn't matter. There's a gentleman that I'm aware of. He started training in Bowen therapy in his 70s, and he kept working until he was in his 90s.
Good on him.
So if you can do that change, you can do it anytime.
Well, you've heard of Grandma Moses?
Yeah. Yes.
So for those of you that don't know, as a lady, she did all the raising her kids and all of this sort of thing. And at the age of 80, early 80s, she decided to take up painting and became world famous for sold heaps of paintings. So, never too old.
Never too old. So
Harlan Sanders started KFC at 76.
Yes, he did. Mr. Sanders. KFC was good back in the day, not now.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another whole show just on food.
Show. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So self-development, it can be the small things and it can be the big profound things. It doesn't have to be
There's only ever a few profound things.
Yeah.
But it's those little small things
ones
repeated daily.
Keep coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And following the breadcrumbs like you did with your book, right? Like I did with Bowen, following where it leads you, because otherwise it'd be such what a boring existence if you just kept doing the same shit every day.
Yeah.
Seriously, at least if you're exploring something new, and if it's not for you, you don't have to keep going.
Well, that's right.
Change.
Yeah.
Change direction.
Yeah. And like you said, with the breadcrumbs, they're opportunities, and opportunities come up every single day.
Every single day.
Like even being here was the result of one decision.
Oh, see?
Yeah, so a lady that we both know, Jo, she was doing a quiz at her house.
Yes.
And she said, can you come up and be my quizmaster? And that's where I met Lessa and met you and Aaron, and that's how I ended up here. One decision changed so much.
That was the same with me, one decision, and otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys either. It was one decision to join a business networking group.
Yep.
Back in the day of the naughty peoples. Of the fear, right?
Fear. Yeah, that's a good one.
Otherwise I wouldn't have expanded my circle of people that I know and love and cherish.
Absolutely.
Either. So I mean, it happens all the time. Now I'm part of another. A part of another networking group. Lisa was part of as well, and it's also opened up now pathways to meet more people and to create more experiences. And
so that actually is a nice segue to a question: support for your self-development.
Yeah.
What sort of things would you recommend for people for support? Would you look at a formal type of support, therapeutic, informal, familial, social?
I think.
I mean, what sort of things did you use?
For me, there are a couple of books and a couple of courses that I went on that helped me with my self-development. And that was more around how to make like I don't know how to explain it, how to make decisions, because you just don't know if you're making the right ones and all that sort of stuff. So it was around that, and it was also around a little bit around neuro-linguistical programming, which Terry does a bit of, learning about that and how my mind works and how how everything starts working in together, because that's something you don't do in mental health. You don't learn how the mind works.
Oh, it's
you just
amazing.
shove pills down people's throats, right? If I had known then what I know now, I think that more people would actually benefit from getting out of the system than getting stuck into a system. But they like being in that system too. So that's something. I like the support of other people who are in a similar situation to me.
Right.
So whether that is a group of people going through the same things and getting my support network that way, or whether it is other small business owners because they've got a similar reckoning to me. So I'm part of People's Health Alliance, and we get together and they're all independent. They've all got their own small business. So, you can getting the feedback and the nurturing that you need that way, and the leadership. And one of the big ones for me during that time was my acupuncturist. She was brilliant. And unbeknownst to me, it was a form of self-development because, she opened up the pathway for me to explore more of myself, right? So opening up with questions and asking the right, like you're doing.
So she stoked your curiosity.
Yeah, stoked the curiosity, opened up the questions, opened up the questions, allowed more information for me to flow through. And I feel that I think the one-on-one or in small groups, that sort of thing, and face-to-face works better for me. Books are great. Audibles are the bomb.
I know you love your Audibles.
Audibles are the bomb. And the reason for Audibles is because I may be driving to Edge Radio Australia for a segment, but I might be listening. I might be listening to something that I need to be listening to, at that time. And it depends on what's going on in your life as to what you're listening to, right, at that time as well. Or and it's not that I listen to Audibles all the time. We have some great Audibles that we listen to on the road, and they're Australian stories, or murder mystery outback, murder mystery stories or something. We're traveling the outback. It's great.
Nothing like helping yourself stay awake at night. Scary stories.
So that's really good. And I think one-on-one, people are my biggest driver into self-development.
Absolutely.
What other people say and how they say it, and even just saying things, have a look at this, explore this, I think that's really good. So
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's it.
I
think.
What else we have? Feel. We could almost do a whole show just on the feel part, the emotions, because for me that was a massive catalyst for my journey, because like a lot of blokes, I had a lot of my emotions stuffed down. So I created a couple of processes that helped me get in touch with them. So I had one was like a grid, and I had all these emotions written down the side, and I'd go through and go, right, did I feel awe today? If I felt awe, what would that feel like? I'd be like, oh, okay. Did I feel that today? Oh, yeah, I did when this happened. So looking back and recognizing them, I got better and better at noticing them in the moment. So now if you said to me, how are you feeling? I could list the 7 emotions I'm currently feeling. But it took that same thing.
Do you reckon most men would do that though?
Probably not, because of our conditioning. We suck it up. But the other thing as well, and this is where women tend to be raised, as a generalisation, to be more in touch with their emotions, to be able to verbalise them more, to be able to have them in conversations like a natural part. But because men don't, when we do start to explore it, because we're very hack-handed and clumsy when we're getting the words out, we sometimes stuff it up. And a woman who's a little more adept at verbalising will sit there and bounce back at the bloke, and he'll just go, blah, 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 and because he hasn't mastered it yet. So I think if a lot of women want their bloke to be, or the men in their life, let them stumble.
Yeah.
Let them make mistakes.
Yeah.
Let them say the wrong thing because they're going to.
Yeah.
You know, they'll think it's this emotion when it's actually this emotion. So I think emotions are a brilliant thing to explore, and it's helped me great because I find now a lot of my reactions are far more subdued than they used to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, I mean, I still like to – here's a funny story because we're getting close to the end. I was driving along in the car years ago with my wife, and this bloke cut me off, as people do, and I started doing the, oh, yeah, rah, 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 rah.
Oh, that sounds like Richard.
Yeah, I know. And then my wife just looked at me and goes, you finished? And I went, actually, no.
Huh?
I want to sit with this for a while. So for about 5 minutes, I just drove along being all tense and squeezing the wheel and going, and then I went, yeah, that'll do. But it was nice to actually sit with the emotion and feel it rather than suppress it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I still get
Oh, you
annoyed
need to go
and
driving
angry.
in the car with Richard. You'll
but
learn a
there's so
few
many
choice
idiots.
words.
Well, I remember when I got my license, my dad said, drive as if every other person on the road's a complete idiot. And I remember thinking, what? And the amount of stuff I've seen on the roads, you just go, there are some real idiots out there. I know. It's just shocking.
It's getting worse. There was, I don't know how many police cars coming past me, accidents down the bottom of the hill, and, oh, God, everything. Ambulances. And I was like, what?
I know.
And when you come out of your own little bubble up there and you come down here in suburbia, you're like, oh shit.
I'm going back home.
I want to go back home. But our bubble's starting to burst too, damn it.
That's it. Yeah, so emotions for me was a huge one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still struggling with it because, like you said, what goes on in here in terms of your emotions and stuff, it takes ages to pull them apart and discern them.
And so when you do that, what's the action step you take when these emotions, when you're feeling these emotions, is the action the feeling? Or is it the –
Okay, so it depends on which emotion because I've put a lot of thought into emotions.
Yeah.
And people go positive and negative emotions. Well, there's no such thing. There's either the emotion either works for you or it doesn't. If it doesn't work for you, don't worry about it, let it go. If it does work for you, it'll do one of two things. It'll either increase the quality of your life, so it'll become what I call a living emotion, so joy, connection, happiness, elation, or it'll be a learning emotion, so all of the other ones.
Yeah.
So if you're angry, as a blanket term, anger comes from fear.
Yes, it does.
All right?
Yeah.
And when I learned that and realised that, I was like, what? Right. So if I'm angry, let's dig in. So I came up with a 15-step process.
Oh, nice.
Of how to go, okay, so what's the emotion, what triggered it, what's behind it, blah, 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 blah. So, and what I've realised is most of the time, you don't even need to say anything to the person that's annoyed you.
Oh, yeah. No.
Not that they're annoying you, it's been triggered and it's your rubbish.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times when people are going through their own stuff, it's like it's your problem, not mine.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun to sit with the anger sometimes.
Oh,
so,
you know, and it's fun to swear sometimes.
Oh, God, yeah. Especially when it's people you don't expect to swear and you hear them swear. It's so amusing. So anyway, we've only got a couple of minutes left.
Yeah.
So do you want to give a plug for what you do and everything like that?
Sure. So I work up in Lesmurdy, Kalamunda Hills, and I am one-on-one is Bowen therapy, which is soft muscle tissue therapy, works on the fascia and connective tissue of the body, helps you to release and helps to reset the nervous system as well, and anything in between. So even if you've got a sore shoulder, knee, people who can't even, people who can't fall pregnant or have gut issues or something like that, working with those people across a wide range of different things. As I said, my passion is about everything stored in the body and helping you to action that, release that, and also become aware of where it's stored and why it's stored. And I work with a cellular health technology that also works deep at the cellular level, hence why I got into Bowen, because that works at the cellular level. And I just love what I do. Yeah.
Nice and easy. Cool. All right. So we've got less than a minute to go. If you've got a question or a theme you want us to explore, send us a message on the talkieshow@gmail.com. I know you like that.
The Talkie
It's
Show.
a good name, isn't it? Yeah. Silly name, serious content. Otherwise, you can watch the recording. You can send us a message on the socials. Whatever you want, we're here to discuss it. This has been an absolute
Yeah, I
pleasure,
love it.
Leanne, and
Thanks, Wayne.
I'm sure we could keep going for ages
We'll keep
about.
going on other things off tangent.
We'll get you back again and
Yeah,
go off on more
let's
tangents.
do it.
So I hope you've all enjoyed this. And, we've got the recordings on YouTube, and we'll be back every Tuesday from 7. So next week it'll be just myself, no guest. I'm sure you'll be fine. All right, folks, take care of yourself.
Thanks,
Catch
everyone.
you next time. Bye.
Bye.